So I'm going to demo the precipitation reactions of Part A in Lab 15. And these reactions are real simple. What you're going to see are two clear and colorless solutions. So basically they look like water, but there are soluble ions suspended in the solution. That first one there is silver nitrate. And the second solution is sodium chloride. Again, it's going to be clear and colorless. And what you see is after the first drop hits, second drop a little bit more, you can see that a white solid forms for that reaction. And that's it. And what that's showing is that there's one insoluble salt that's forming in that reaction. So in the column marked observations, what you'll do is you'll just write down that a white solid forms there, okay? And then filling out the formulas for the insoluble salts and the equations, we'll worry about that later, okay? And that's actually addressed in one of the lecture videos for you. And then the second one is going to be silver nitrate again. Silver nitrate is a really common salt that you use. Silver forms a reasonable number of insoluble salts, but silver nitrate is completely soluble. Matter of fact, pretty much all nitrate salts are soluble, so you'll see it's a really common anion in these kind of reactants for precipitation reactions. And the second one is sodium sulfate. And what you can see is that no reaction has occurred there. Okay, so there's some of these cases where that just isn't the case. And the video here isn't perfect, but even if you zoom in, you can't see any solid in this example. Okay? So for those, and there's actually two here that's going to show up that way, you just write no reaction in the space provided in the lab report. The third reaction, again, we got silver nitrate, and we are going to, just like before, a few drops. Doesn't really matter how many. And then the second reactant is the sodium phosphate. Here it is. I would show you the label on the bottle, but the glare on here is a little bit strong. It's a little bit hard to see. That you can see though, the solid forming. And I'm not sure how well it's being picked up on the video, but it is a yellow solid for that reaction there. The fourth one is starting off with calcium nitrate. And by the way, it doesn't matter which order I add the reactants. Like for this one, I could just as easily have added the sodium chloride first, and you would see the same observation. Okay. But I'll take it as I see it. And like I said, the second one now is sodium chloride. Now what you're going to see here, again, there's no reaction taking place in this solution. When these two solutions are added. Next to last, calcium nitrate again. Again, nitrate salts, really common soluble salts. You see those in a lot of reactions here. And now the sodium sulfate. Now for this particular one, I'll just tell you, calcium sulfate is considered an insoluble salt, but count this one as a solid forming as your observation. Some textbooks classify calcium sulfate as slightly soluble, so it's kind of on the borderline between soluble and insoluble. We're going to count that reaction as insoluble. That's the most consistent with typical textbooks. And the last one is calcium nitrate, again, and then sodium phosphate. There's sodium phosphate. And there, hopefully, yeah, you can clearly see that a precipitant is forming there. So again, a recap. Of the 6 reactions that we see here, the second one and the fourth one we're going to consider as no reaction, and all the other ones, including that calcium nitrate plus the sodium sulfate, as at least a slight precipitant in that one. And yeah, so for those 4 where a reaction has occurred, you will fill in the formula for the insoluble salt in the last column of part A, and then you will also complete those equations, those balanced equations for part A as well.